The science fiction sitcom follows a mad scientist and his grandson on their interdimensional adventures. And if you think that the show is too inappropriate, you are not ready to hear the secrets that they are trying to hide. Make sure you watch this video until the end to know more about the secret backstory. If you love Rick and Morty as much as we do, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a big thumbs up. Today we are showing you 10 dark secrets Rick and Morty tried to hide. The origins. Did you know that Rick and Morty was actually based on Back to the Future? You might think that these two shows have barely anything in common except for the science fiction, but you would be wrong, and the missing piece of the puzzle is the cartoon The Real Adventures of Doc and Marty from 2006. The short was a parody of the popular science fiction movie. Creator Justin Roiland used it as a protest when he received cease and desist letters from his House of Cosby's series. As you can imagine, this cartoon was really inappropriate. The characters even had to be renamed Doc Smith and Marty McDonald's to avoid a lawsuit. But contrary to popular belief, The Real Adventures of Doc and Marty was not used as a pilot for Rick and Morty. Roiland only used the characters as an initial speech, but he didn't want the producers to know about the short because it was a ridiculous, unmarketable vandalization of Doc and Marty. This is why little connections remained, except for the two characters. Time traveling was also too complicated for them, so they preferred to work on traveling in space and new dimensions. Moreover, the TV series became less and less inspired by Back to the Future to avoid any copyright issue. But no matter what, their goal remained to pull apart the tropes of science fiction. And this is how Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon created one of the best sitcoms we have ever watched. The first show. Rick and Morty was not the first show that Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland worked on together. They also produced a short-lived show that was just weirder and more inappropriate called Mr. Sprinkles. The show premiered on VH1 in 2007 on Acceptable.tv and lasted for 8 short episodes of about 4 minutes long. Every week, viewers had to vote for their favorite sketches, and Mr. Sprinkles made it through each round every time. This is how people had the chance to see one more episode in the following week. But what made this cartoon successful? The show was a satirical parody of The Cat in the Hat. And once again, it was not for kids. Mr. Sprinkles terrified his young friends in every episode, and the disturbing undertones were shocking for most people. But no matter what, a small and dedicated audience loved the show. Nowadays, Mr. Sprinkles is still the cartoon that everyone suggests to people who want to watch something similar to Rick and Morty. You can even see a reference to the character in the popular TV series during the second episode of the second season. The white character with the unique shaped head, the red hat, and the juggling could be no one else than Mr. Sprinkles himself. The show certainly isn't for everyone, but for those who loved Rick and Morty, you will never get enough of Mr. Sprinkles. The voice actor. Rick was drunk from the first moment we met him, and it never changed. It seems like alcohol was just part of his character, which probably makes him one of the worst role models. And it seems like the crazy scientists had an influence not only on kids watching the show, but also on grown-ups working on the project. That's because Justin Roiland, the creator who also voices our favorite character, also drinks alcohol while recording. He posted a video of him doing shots and getting drunk for a more inebriated version of Rick for the episode 4 of season 3. And the craziest thing is that creator Dan Harmon even encouraged him, saying that things got a little creative. Associate producer Sydney Ryan tried to keep things on track, but it was really hard to do that with a voice actor under the influence. They concluded that the session was by far the least productive, messiest recording day they have ever had. We hope that being hungover and knowing that he did a terrible job will make Roiland regret drinking all this alcohol. There is never any good reason to take shots at work, and even when you are partying, you should always drink responsibly. We bet that the voice actor regrets posting this video because he should have relied more on his skills than on his bottle of tequila. That's a lesson to be learned, Justin Roiland. The fourth wall. With a crazy show like Rick and Morty comes a lot of weird fan theories. One of them is that the mad scientist knows that he is part of a TV show. Unlike the other characters, this is why he keeps breaking the fourth wall. For example, in the first episode, Rick mentioned the website www.rickandmorty.com. In Me Seeks and Destroy and Raising Gazorpazorp, he also turned to the camera to say goodbye to the viewers. But that's not the only thing he did. In the same episode, Rick also said that the plot thickens, and in Rick's Minutes, he made a reference to how most of the TV shows were mostly ad-libbed by the creators. If this is not enough to convince you, you have to watch the final episode of the first season. Rick told the audience, that was season 1. Thanks for watching. It cannot get any clearer than that. The whole sitcom is about being disillusioned with your own place in the universe, mostly for the mad scientist. Rick knows that his purpose in this universe is simply to be there for entertainment, and he seems to accept this role. We have nothing against that. He is great at making us laugh. No matter if this theory is really or not, it is enough to make us smile, and that's all we expect from that awesome show. The female writers. In 2016, Adult Swim's executive vice president Mike Lazo was accused of not hiring female writers because when you put women in the writer's room, you get conflict, not comedy. On the other channels, there is usually one woman in every 5 writers, and it seems to work pretty well. But on Adult Swim, only 1 in 34 credits was by a woman in any given series, including Rick and Morty. When asked about this, Lazo simply told everyone why he made that decision instead of saying what he could do to make things better. Dan Harmon was actually the one who gave a better reputation to the channel. He hired 4 more female writers to work on his team, which was the same number of men that were already working on the project. He called them the joyless ambassadors against sexism. Harmon did the same thing on his last show, Community, so he knew that it was going to be a good idea. It was an intimidating task for the new writers to join a team and get into a male-dominated genre, but they were all up for the challenge. And when we see the result, we know that Harmon had a great idea. The 3rd season was just as successful as the previous one, and he also gave women the chance to be heard. That's at least one thing that we can all learn from Rick and Morty. The shape of the characters. We know that the creators of Rick and Morty love things that are inappropriate, and when the characters are not saying something dumb, you just have to look around you to see another weird thing happening. One of them is the shape of the characters. It will take a little bit of imagination to see this, but you won't forget about it. Many aliens are inspired by what you can see between a man's legs and what is coming out of it. We'll let you guess what these things are. If you want to see an example, just take a look at the shape of the head of the Zygerians and the character Blim Blam. It's hard not to see it. But wait, there's more. The characters that evolved in Zeep's miniverse were inspired by spermatozoids, and most aliens who appeared on the Ricks Must Be Crazy were inspired by many different things that we cannot say out loud. The sketchbooks of some of the creators are even filled with phallic-looking character drawings. Even the creators said at a Comic-Con that they tried sneaking many phallic designs into the season they were working on. So don't think that an artist accidentally drew this when they had something on their mind. They all intended to draw these characters like that, and that's just another reason not to let kids watch this, but grown-ups can still play Where's Waldo by trying to find these funny aliens. The delay. Once we start watching Rick and Morty, we can't get enough of it, and this is why many viewers were really disappointed when the 3rd season took too long to be released. It took almost 2 years for us to finally see one more episode of the sitcom, and we understand why most people were upset. Fans even started to worry that Rick and Morty wouldn't be coming back at all. But what took so long? The season 3 premiere debuted on April Fool's, but then there were no more episodes. Was the show canceled? People started spreading rumors that Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon had been fighting and that the show had no chance of coming back. But the creator later explained that the truth in this case is so very boring. Harmon took the time to explain everything in a series of tweets to comfort his fans. He said that the reason season 3 took so long is that it took long to write because it was a season 3 of the show and they were scared to make worse than season 2 or season 1. It's just a common yet odd phenomenon to be a perfectionist and overthink. They were simply doing way more versions of stuff than needed. We finally got the chance to see the season 3 and we were happier than ever. The wait was worth it after all. The intelligence. We all know that Rick is incredibly smart, no matter how much he drinks. But where does his intelligence actually comes from? This is when fan theories come to the rescue. Many people believe that everything was explained in the first episode. The mad scientist is super smart because of megatrees and mega seeds. We know that they were important for Rick's research, and we also know that he used them before. And when Morty used the seeds, he was highly intelligent for a moment, until the effect faded and he started drooling from his mouth. Does that remind you of someone? Many fans think that Rick is not actually drinking alcohol, but liquid megatree seeds. But others argue that this theory doesn't make any sense. If Rick weren't smart without the seeds, he wouldn't be able to travel to another dimension to find the seeds and drink them. Moreover, Rick is the Rickest Rick, which means that he is in the base dimension. So the mad scientist is just naturally super smart. Fans even think that he is drinking alcohol to numb the fact that he is amazing and that it doesn't mean anything. We should just accept the fact that he is an alcoholic. But no matter what, we'll just appreciate the sitcom like it is. You shouldn't ask yourself too many questions when watching Rick and Morty. The censorship. When you want to create a sitcom with a lot of inappropriate jokes, it comes with a lot of fans, but also a lot of haters. This is why many people tried to censor Rick and Morty. You might think that this show is for grown-ups and that adults should have the right to watch whatever they want, but some people didn't agree with this, and the creators got in trouble. They don't mind talking about sensitive topics, drawing alien heads like a phallus, and writing the most inappropriate jokes, but there are some things that they can't do. Even though violence is more and more accepted, they sometimes have to change the script a little bit. For example, an alien was supposed to get his brain blown out, but the creators were asked to change the color of the brain matter to green because pink would look too much like a real brain. But what censors hate the most is anything that would be too suggestive for children. And we are talking about the S word. The creators clearly crossed the line when Mr. Jellybean tried to do something terrible to the 14-year-old character. They had to handle this scene in a respectful way and make sure that it didn't sound like a joke to get the approval of standards and practices. And even though we were shocked to see that scene in Me Seeks and Destroy, we couldn't imagine the episode without it. The secret backstory. Did you know that the creators of the show have been hiding something from us for all this time? There is actually one secret that they will never reveal. Before they wrote the first episode of Rick and Morty, the creators had a conversation where they said that they should decide that there is a secret that they will keep from the audience forever. They will always know it, but not tell anyone about it. This is why so many fans started thinking about crazy theories and try to find out about the secret. And Dan Harmon even admitted that someone did guess what the secret was and made a Reddit post where they threw out the theory. He never said which one was right, but many people believe that Reddit user Not Your Parents discovered the secret plot. According to them, Morty passed away during an accident in the universe where Rick used to live. This is why the mad scientist wanted to find a way to travel to another universe and be with his grandson again. And now that Morty is still alive, Rick always takes him on his adventures because he doesn't want to lose his grandson again. We have to admit that this is our favorite theory. Are there any dark secrets about Rick and Morty that we forgot? Don't be shy to tell us what it is in the comments section down below. We love to hear from you. And that's it for 10 dark secrets Rick and Morty tried to hide. For more stories like this, make sure you watch